And now for our weekly report. Head Above Water is a black comedy about a judge, his wife, her ex-lover, the boy next door and a dead body that won't go away. Well, you know, exactly the sort of everyday problems we all face. The film was directed by Jim Wilson, a long-time associate of Kevin Costner and Oscar-winning producer of Dances with Wolves, as well as The Bodyguard. Head Above Water stars Cameron Diaz and Harvey Keitel. Tom Brooke joined cast and crew on location in Maine.
For his directorial debut, big-time Oscar-winning Hollywood producer Jim Wilson chose a low-budget project, a dark comedy involving just a small cast set on a tiny island off the coast of Maine.
I loved the notion of 5 individuals on a small island, and it appealed to me, the dark humor. It's a black comedy. Some people get into real trouble and a few have fatalities, but also there was a tremendous sense of humor to the piece that I thought was there and I thought I could hone.
Kent!
The central character is Natalie, played by Cameron Diaz, who goes into a panic when she finds her ex-lover dead and naked in bed in her vacation home, just as her newly acquired husband is returning home from an overnight fishing trip.
Hey!
On location, Cameron Diaz found herself repeatedly in deep water as the bewildered Natalie, struggling to escape from a husband who'd become quite nasty and wants to kill her.
He chases me around the island, and it's pretty absurd if you think about it. It's this wild, crazy chase all over the island, and I'm running for my life and trying to figure out exactly what happened. It's a twister, you know. It takes a lot of twists and turns.
One twist involves a scene reminiscent of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The film definitely has an absurd quality to it.
Every time you expect something to happen, the opposite happens, and the characters keep getting more and more insane, and in that insanity, they're also really likable because they're very funny and desperate.
Oh, you are gonna pay for this crime.
Gotta catch me first.
The manic husband George is played by Harvey Keitel, who's constantly scheming to get rid of the dead body and Natalie. It's been 2 years since Head Above Water was shot here on location in New England, and its transition to the big screen has been far from smooth. In America, it first appeared on pay TV earlier this year, and then in June it played in just a handful of cinemas to rather lackluster reviews. American moviegoers and critics found the picture's dark humor hard to fathom, no doubt disappointing Jim Wilson, who felt, at least during production, that Head Above Water was the right vehicle for his directorial debut.
I'm really happy I've done this film. There's very few films that I think I could direct. Very few. I could never direct any of the ones that I've produced. They're too big, they're too, I don't know, they just don't quite strike me as this. So I like the more intimate tales about character and getting to know what makes them tick, and this is just the right size. It's not overwhelming, and I feel pretty comfortable here on this setting with these people.
Head Above Water's backers, mindful of the film's troubled history, are now hoping this small black comedy will not be lost on British audiences.
You know, I think Cameron Diaz looks more beautiful in Head Above Water than she did in My Best Friend's Wedding. Could it be that in the previous film her looks were played down so as not to risk upstaging the star? Surely not. What an unworthy thought. I'm ashamed of you. Anyway, Head Above Water opens here on October the 3rd.